Oops, look at that. Somehow, isn't that funny how these things just move around sometimes on me. There, just locked it. Figured that one out. Okay, we're going to go live in just a few minutes. For anybody that has tuned in early, we will go live in just a couple of minutes here. Just wanted to see how this all works. And hopefully, I can't tell if we are live or not, but let's hope so. As always, it's Chris, a safety dog here. A couple of things that we want to talk about today. We're going to be going through the news as per usual. I got a lot of Canadian news on this episode, and then we're going to touch about, let's just see that again. Then we're going to get on to, what's on the Doggone It Trucking podcast this week. Great interview, and then we're going to talk about how important road evaluations. So that's going to be this week's secret, is road evaluations. So with that, let's get on, and let me share my screen here. The news. So let's get through here. And leave a comment if you like what the heck I'm doing. I'll try not to swear here. Whoops, close that one out, close that one out. Look at this one. Roadside inspectors. Roadside inspectors are asking drivers and fleets to transfer their e-log data or their ELD via email. Or by the transfer system that the US has in Canada by email. And this is largely, again, due to COVID, they don't want to be touching your equipment whenever possible. So for their safety, they want you to be able to transfer it. So you either transfer it through the US system or you transfer it by email. But drivers, you need to know how. So that's the first article. And again, the link is in the show notes below if you want to get more information on that. Trucking jobs. I've always said that truck drivers, it's a very dangerous position, not to scare truck drivers, but if I compare you to a mechanic or an electrician, when a mechanic or electrician unfortunately passes away on the job, it makes front page news. And when a truck driver dies on the job, it doesn't even make news anymore. It happens way too frequently. However, this article would like to argue with me, and I'm glad it does. Driving jobs with the safest drivers include trucking. So that's really cool. And if you scroll down here, they started talking about different driving jobs. Bus drivers, truck driver is the second most safest. The bus drivers are the safest. Then we get into like postal workers, and then the national average. This is a US study, of course, but the national average says 26% of just average drivers have crashes. And of course, professional truck drivers are below 23. So that's pretty good. And that's almost 27, so about 4% better. And then we've got bus drivers being the best. And then we've got the valet and the taxi and the limo and delivery workers. Delivery workers, I imagine, are last mile people, the Amazon thing. So anyways, really good article there. I put the link in the show notes below. Getting into Canadian news, as I said, lots of Canadian news on the show this week. Again, the federal government has issued guidance, an updated guidance. This just came out last week for COVID-19. So I posted the link in the show notes below there so that you could check that out. And if you're here watching this live, leave me a comment. Out in Saskatchewan, this is a horrific wreck out in Saskatchewan, and they're talking about truck driver training here. It was a construction zone, and the tractor trailer came up, apparently, and I'm guessing didn't see the signs for the warning of the construction zone and rear-ended several stopped vehicles waiting for the construction, and 1 fatality. So a horrific wreck. Again, we make the news, unfortunately. And again, talking about horrific wrecks, here's an article in the Sherwood Park News. I would assume that's up in Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario's deadly highways need improvement. So that's what this article is about, and I couldn't agree more. Having a 2-lane road as our #1 highway in Ontario, the one that connects us to the rest of Canada, is not acceptable. I really believe that that needs to be twinned. So again, that's opinion, and don't ask me where we would get the dollars for all that, because right now during COVID, of course, all of our governments, federal and provincial, as well as if you're an American, state and federal down in the States, are spending just a ton of money. However, they are making, or they are looking for projects to perform so that they can get the economy moving again. I would suggest that this would be a great project. So with that, Canadian truckers fear going to the States. And I forgot to put the link into the show notes below, but we've had a couple of episodes on truck driver mental health. Certainly the Linda Corkum episode, I believe that was number 17 on the Dawg on a Trucking podcast, talks about truck driver mental health and what services are available for free in Canada. And then, of course, we also touched on in that episode, if you have a company benefits, what might be available there, but what's available for free. So I don't blame Canadian truckers for being very cautious. I don't want to say fearful. I think that's kind of a play on the headline, but cautious certainly going to the States. And again, going back to the earlier post about the federal government updating their COVID guidelines, follow those guidelines carefully, and it may help relieve some of the anxiety that is attributed. All right, let me just change cameras here for a second, because I want to, if possible, there, you see, a little bit of comedy now. Let's see what I can change that to if I can. There. Okay, we'll do this face for now. All right, so let's, if you are a believer in the Farmer's Almanac, it says Canada is going to have a bad winter. So a little bit lighter news there. Canada is going to have a bad winter, and let's see here, we'll change it to that camera. And lastly, 5 must-see trucking movies. And I've watched a few of these, but I certainly haven't seen them all. I've never heard of Joyride. I've never seen Black Dog, I don't think, with Patrick Swayze. Convoy, well, of course, I've seen Convoy. Convoy. Yes, you don't want me to sing, but you know, Maximum Overdrive, that's, believe it or not, that's a Stephen King movie, and I don't know that I've seen that. It's a comedy horror. Interesting. And then lastly, Big Rig. So just, I thought that was kind of interesting for those of you who are out there. I just, you know, playing along. Anyway, look at lastly, what I wanted to show you here, not lastly, sorry, we got one more thing to do. This week on the Dawg on It Trucking podcast, we had Chris Wilkinson join us from Driver Check talking about cognitive testing for truck drivers. And I really think that's a great subject that we should be talking a lot more about. So what I wanted to show you here, this is the back door or the back end of my YouTube channel. And I wanted to show you that my most 2 recent videos here have been doing quite well. I released this one here on Friday about the new hours of service coming into effect in the States, September the 29th. Check that video out. But this cognitive testing, this again was released just on Friday. already almost at 300 views. I wonder if Chris will match Ellen Voya from Women in Trucking's 1,600 views. So that'll be an interesting thing. Of course, Ellen's episode has been up for a week longer, but Chris is off to a fantastic start. Why am I showing you this? I am so thankful for all of you who have decided to become a subscriber of the Safety Dog channel. As you can see here, 897 subscribers. My channel views are up. My watch time hours are up. This is all in the last 28 days is what you're seeing here for statistics. So everything is going up. I appreciate you all so much for doing that. And as I say here, if you look at the analysis or the analytics as they call it, everything is going up. All the views and everything. So I'm very appreciative of you and your time doing that. And of course, we will change that now. Let's go back to my, if I can do that, camera, go back to my regular camera now. And I do want to talk about truck driver road tests, all right? And if you can just give me 1 second here while I figure out how to get to my, oh, there we go. Truck driver road tests. Oh, why did I lose my green screen? Anybody know? There, let me move over here so I can get in here. Truck driver road test, got to change here. And what is important about truck driver road tests? That's why did I lose my green screen? As you all know, I green screen because looking at my office looks much better like this. So the first thing in this type of thing, so we want to click over here, there we go. In a road test, what items and hazards are you looking for? And that's what I wanted. Sorry, I'm just going to change that to transparent. There we go. And then how long should a road test be? And documentation, documentation, documentation. So this is what we're going to cover very quickly in this, just a short little tutorial here. You want to cover what should you be talking about or what should you be testing. Certainly coupling and uncoupling, as well as vehicle inspections or pre-trips if you prefer to call it that. But vehicle inspection certainly needs to be covered. And then placing the vehicle in operations and on-road driving. So you want to cover all those things. How long, this is a question I get asked by my customers, how long should a road test be? Well, since you've got to do a vehicle inspection, you want to do some city driving, you want to do some highway driving, and hopefully you can throw in a railroad crossing as well. Well, with all that, when I do a road test, it's at least 2 hours. And I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, 2 to 3 hours, but I believe that is how long it takes. Certainly to do a vehicle inspection, we all know it doesn't take 5 minutes to do a vehicle inspection. And then it takes at least 20 minutes once you've started to drive, at least 20 minutes for the driver to get comfortable with you and the truck that they're driving and everything. So it needs to be substantially longer than 20 or 30 minutes. So that's an opinion. Coupling and uncoupling, what to watch for. So we're going to go through that and these other items. All right, so vehicle inspection. Coupling and uncoupling, make sure the jaws are open. This is what the driver should be looking for. And they should be articulating, meaning that they should be speaking, saying, hey, my jaws are open. You know, my fifth wheel is on the correct angle. Let me see if I can get my arm in there. Yes, on the correct angle. They stop before backing under the trailer and they check for the height. And of course, they do a visual inspection. The jaws are open. They got to visually inspect the kingpin and the plate on the trailer. And then, of course, once they've hooked up, they must do a visual inspection. They must crawl under the tractor trailer and visually search to make sure the jaws are shut. And then, of course, that the handle drops into the locked position. There's a lot to be checking for, and truck drivers, at least on road tests and according to stats, are not doing this. So that's the first thing. Placing the vehicle in operation, what are you looking for? And again, you want to make sure the driver puts a seatbelt on. If the driver forgets, this is a bad habit. It's a driver who's chosen that the seatbelt law doesn't apply to them. And if that law doesn't apply to them, what other flippin' laws don't apply to them? So just be aware of that one. They should be checking the air pressure. They should say, hey, I've checked the air pressure, the monitor. They should be hitting the brakes to make sure that the air pressure gauges are working, the alarm bells are working, all that kind of stuff. And of course, they should test the brakes. How many times are you leaving the yard and the driver hasn't done a proper tug test? So any of these terms, if you're not familiar with them, shoot me an email, Chris@SafetyDawg, if I'm not making myself clear. So now, once you've done all that, so you've done a vehicle inspection, you've hooked up, and now you're actually leaving, you're going to go on the road. What are you going to look for here? Well, in driving, are both hands on the wheel? Is the driver checking the mirrors? Don't forget that the driver is supposed to be looking outwards. He's supposed to look high. See if I can get my hand in here. Look high and then let your vision drop. And then they're supposed to go to one side and check the mirrors, and then to the other side and check the mirrors, and then back out high, drop, check the gauges. Out high, drop. Okay, so you're supposed to always go high. Look high, I mean look far down the road, let your gaze come a little bit closer, and then you look to the one side of the mirrors, and then you look to the other side of the mirror. You repeat out, down, mirrors, mirrors, and now you might check the gauges. Out, down, mirrors, mirrors, check the gauges. Out, down, mirrors, mirrors. All right, you're always looking in the mirrors. Every 7 to 10 seconds, they got to be checking the mirrors. So, are they operating the truck smoothly would be the next thing. Are they using their signals? And by the way, here's a pet peeve of mine, and this is my own suggestion, that signals should come on before brake lights. So if we are going to be making a turn up ahead, personally, I like the driver to signal first. That tells the vehicles behind us that we're about to take some action, and probably our brakes are going to come on. So before we hit the brakes, my personal opinion is that the signals come on. Continue with driving here. What is the speed? Is the operating too fast for road conditions, that type of thing? This is what you should be checking on a road test, just to bring it back to the topic. Are they checking for traffic in all directions, especially when at intersections? And an intersection could be a driveway or another crossroad or four-way intersections. Are they looking all ways? And are they prepared to stop even if the traffic light is green? What is suggested by professionals is that as you go through an intersection, your foot comes off the fuel pedal and covers, doesn't touch the brake, but hovers over top of the brake pedal so that you are ready to apply the brakes should you have to. So this is what road testers should be looking for when you are evaluating a truck driver. So again, continue on with drivers. Speed for the turns. Did the driver slow down well before the ramp or the curve? Because of course, we are not supposed to be braking during a curve. So no braking during the curve. Are they in the proper lane? My God, this is terrible that with all the experience that we have out there, truck drivers still typically are not using what I believe to be the correct lane. And in my opinion, the correct lane is usually the right lane because it has a shoulder there for emergency exits. And I get a lot of feedback from truck drivers on this one because when they drive, for instance, the 401 in Toronto or an expressway in Chicago or LA, they don't like the right lane because there's so much coming and going and cars and trucks exiting, coming on. And I understand that. It doesn't alter my belief, but in my belief, I'm not driving anymore. So goal. When it comes to backing, did the driver use the acronym GOAL? And GOAL stands for get out and look. And when they look, are they looking above and below as well as on each side of the vehicle to make sure that they are not going to hit anything when they are about to go into reverse? So you got to cover passing. You've got to cover following distance. My pet peeve, if the driver is too fast, they are encroaching on their safety zone that is in front of them. only the truck driver can keep modest control of that safety zone, that buffer zone, the following distance. All right, and that's so critical to be doing. And of course, lastly, try to incorporate a railroad crossing. No shifting gears while going over a railroad crossing. Speed is essential, or sorry, the lack of speed is essential. They should slow down to the proper speed limit to cross over a railroad crossing. And documentation. Here is a copy of my road test. I've put this in the show links below. So if you'd like a copy of my road evaluation, I personally like this one because it is graded. So you would establish yourself a grade for what is acceptable at your company. So 75 or 80 might be the grade. And with that, you can then say to a driver, hey, I noticed that you could improve in this area. And I would make these notes on my road test form. Could improve in this area, spoke to the driver demonstrated that he can do it. So you partway through the road test, I don't usually stop, but I discuss it with the driver, and I've laid out this plan at the beginning with the driver. I tell the driver at the beginning, this is what we're going to do. You're going to drive for a little while, and then if I see some areas that I would like you to get better at, I'm going to express those. It doesn't mean that you failed the road test or anything, because nobody's perfect. I'm just trying to make you a safer driver. And I get the driver's buy-in for that, and then I correct actions that I believe are inappropriate. And then as long as the driver corrects it, I note those two things, the inappropriate action and the fact that the driver can do it correctly on the road test form. So if you'd like a copy of my road test form, it is in the show notes below. Oh my goodness, 22 minutes. I didn't think that was going to take this long. All right, so I thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. And leave me a comment. Do you want me to continue to do these live shows Mondays at 1 p.m.? Let me know. All right, thanks so much. And that's it for this week. See you next, next Monday's a holiday. So it won't be on Monday. It'll likely be on Tuesday if I can squeeze one in. All right, so we'll see you on Tuesday at 1 p.m. next week. Thanks so much, and the Safety Dog's out.